grew up completely removed from any traditional environment at all. In fact, Aboriginal culture was not something that was, that was even discussed too much. We just had a regular sort of fairly, typical Anglo upbringing, if you wanted to label it anything. One of the biggest battles that I ever faced as a young person was, well, who am I? As I started progressively getting into trouble in my early teens, I came into contact with liaison officers, with Aboriginal liaison officers that ultimately helped me, track back those stages in my family that would identify who I was and where I'd actually come from. The only reason I really went to school was because I could play in the rugby league sides or the rugby union sides and compete in sport. For me, that's what school was about. In fact, when I reflect back on my schooling career, that two things that I was banned from doing at school were music and artwork, and they're the two biggest things that have supported my career over the last 10 years. Your future was not something that I ever considered. That when you start appearing before children's magistrates courts and whatnot, that your future, you don't have a future bigger than what you essentially are seeing right in front of you or on that any given day. Obviously, meeting my traditional families up in northern Queensland became a very powerful notion for change. I don't want my kids to have to learn Aboriginal culture through the pictures in a book that an anthropologist has written. I've always seen that as one of my most important roles, is to bridge the divide. That I really believe that only when we sit together, only when we walk together, will we ever be able to see each other. I see this significant impact that I can have on communities, and so the alignment with something like Gen One, which is all about in one generation creating change, is a big belief that I would love to see the disparity. When I watched the short clip that showed all the statistics and about our life expectancy and whether we're going to own a home, that it really dawned upon me, it hit me, it made me a little bit emotional that I remember that my eyes welled up, because I realized that I'm part of this statistic, and that I can either sit back and do nothing about it, or I can really use my message and empower my message up a little bit, and that message can help support, create change, and that's what I'm about. And so when I saw Gen One and their desire to create change amongst our people across this country, that was something I became very passionate about. And so the opportunity to become a spokesperson for Generation One, well, it didn't mean my life was going to change too much. I didn't have to learn a new spiel, or I didn't have to learn a new way of life and approaching work, because everything that I'm doing today is basically encompassing the message already that Gen One is walking with, and that's why it became a desirable thing for me. I believe that anyone, no matter what colour you are, whether you're white, black, brown or brindle, that if your identity is built on sadness and built on a struggle, then it's always going to be hard to hold your head up. Empowering ourselves with employment, with education is an important thing, and I certainly know this because of the struggles from the lack of education that I've had in my own life. But now today, we are allowed to be educated, we are allowed to be employed, we are entitled to earn $120,000 a year. And so there are opportunities for us to overcome that hurdle that welfare once, sort of basically, kept us in control with. If we begin to dream and empower and dream in positive, thought processes, our world and the disparity will disappear.